What's up, Ramblers? Your favorite CEO is back. And before we begin today's podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode. And follow Assistance HQ and Offsource HQ across all platforms to stay up to date on the latest content, updates, and more. And remember, if you need a virtual assistant, visit us at offsource.tech. Now, before we begin, a word from our sponsor. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another wonderful episode of The Ramblings. I'm your host, Angela Roberts, and I have today with us Tashima Logo. She's actually one of our social media managers here at Offsource. How are you doing today, T? What's going on? Talk to us.
I'm doing amazing. Everything is great. The sun is shining. The weather's getting warmer. So I'm excited about that because I don't really like winter that much. So yeah, everything is just great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Now, T actually comes from South Africa today. That's where she's from. And things are a little bit different. So for her, it's winter there. For us, it's summer, but we're now starting to get to the tail end of summer as we start reaching August, September, reaching in towards October. So I can start seeing that it's been hot lately. So for you, I'm sure it's been cold and everything. But she actually works with us, as I mentioned, as a social media manager. And I think she's been doing a really great job in the creative department and things like that. But I want to hear some of your backstory. Give us a little bit about how you got into social media management. Why did you choose to get into like social media and graphic design? And give us a little bit about your backstory.
When I was around 18 years old, I decided to start my own print-on-demand small business. So that actually requires a whole lot of graphic design and social media marketing if you're starting out on your own. So social media wasn't about me talking to my friends anymore or posting pictures of me having my favorite cocktail or my favorite sushi. It was now about using it to attract the clients that I needed for my company. So I love that it gave me a space where I was able to attract lots of people. It's a national business, but when I started out, it was only just in my area. And then I realized the power of social media and I realized that I could reach people all over South Africa. So when that happened, I decided to take a short social media management course. And then from there, I just went into it. I got a whole team. I learned so much and I grew so much. And I realized that this is actually one of my passions and I love connecting with people. So that's basically my background of how I got into it. And now I am at Offsource. So yeah.
I absolutely love it. And I think hiring ex-entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs that actually already have been working on something is success. You're right.
Please repeat that. I think it just like cut for a little while.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
Yeah.
We can always edit, like good editing skills.
The 50's gone. What's happening?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Hope it stays great.
No, that was my fault. I think there was too much running on my computer at one time. I can always edit that. So what I wanted to ask was, I want to dive a little bit into your personal life, right? So give me a little bit about your upbringing, what it's like living in South Africa, working in, remotely and everything. Tell me a little bit about you as a person.
Me as a person, I am a combination of so many different things because I've had so many. I always say this to my friends. I feel like I've lived about 4 lifetimes in my one life.
Right.
Because South Africa is huge, and as it being big as it is, it has different environments. So there's the suburbs, and then there's like the village type of setup, and then there's like what can I say? I don't know what to call it, like a location set up that's a bit ghetto. So
Okay.
basically, like the hood, yeah.
Hmm.
So I grew up as like a rich kid, and I was very spoiled and all those things. And then my parents, obviously, life kind of changed for them. So now the whole being a rich kid thing had to end, and we moved into the hood. And it also changed me, obviously, because
Hmm.
now I went from being around suburban people to being people who are around the hood.
Hmm.
So it also added to like my character. And then I moved into the village with my grandparents. So I lived around like a lot of like animals, and I'd have to like feed chickens in the morning and stuff like that.
My mom
It
has
was,
chickens. That's actually funny. My mom has chickens. She gets like all
yeah.
her eggs from chickens. She has like 3 or 4 of
It's honestly the best thing because I feel like it's the healthiest version. You know
them.
that you
Yeah.
have it from where it comes from. So for me, I've had lots of different experiences in my life. I've lived in the city, lived in the hood, and I've lived in the village, and that contributes a lot to my personality and the way I view life. I feel
Mm.
like if I had only one perspective, I would have only one perspective of viewing life. So because of my
Mm.
different what can I say, upbringings, I have been exposed to how certain people think, and I can understand certain environments and certain people. So it makes it easier for me to kind of interact with anybody from anywhere because of I've experienced almost every kind of background there is to have in South Africa. So it really makes it easy for me to actually get along with a lot of people. I can understand people from where they're at and kind of connect with them easier. And yeah, that's pretty much me. I went to lots of different schools growing up. Think about 13 different schools, and then
Wow.
yeah, I went to a lot because my parents moved around a lot. So
Mm.
because of that, I went to. There are 9 provinces in South Africa. I've lived in 6 of them.
Oh wow, that's actually really dope. That's a kind of like
Yeah.
super opposite of like kind of how I was raised. I was living with my parents and everything in a very in like the nice street of like the I guess it's a hood. It's still technically a hood, but it's like a homeowner street, if you will. And so like I had never moved in my entire life. Like I was born, raised, grew up, and even I stayed in that house till even after both my parents left. Like that was the only place I had ever lived until I started living here. But like that's absolutely like I always wondered what it would be like to change schools. Like I never had like I changed schools one time in my life actually. I went to one school in 5th grade and then I switched in 6th grade and went to a different school. So that was like really like the biggest kind of adjustment, if you will, or anything. Now, living in 6 different provinces out of the 9, really, as you had mentioned, is going to bring a lot of perspective and really a lot of different friend groups. What would you say is something that you saw that was consistent throughout each of the friend groups or each of the perspectives? What is something that you kind of took away that's like, this is a universal kind of lesson that you have?
I think the only thing that I would say that I took away from having to meet all these different types of people is that I don't know if this is an international thing, but people are very stuck on their traditions.
Mm.
So for me, I would okay. So I live in the Northwest right now. We have a tribe called the Tswana people, and then in Joburg, it's the city, so every tribe is there. And then in the KZN, which is KwaZulu Natal, is a lot of Zulu people. In Limpopo, it's a lot of Pedi people. So my point is that when you go into these people's environments, they expect you to adapt to their traditions and their cultures.
Right.
So in the beginning, kind of difficult for me because I didn't really understand it and fit. As South African as I am, I'm not Zulu, so I'm not gonna do Zulu traditions and Zulu stuff. But if you go to KZN, you can speak to them. I speak Tswana and I speak Sotho, which are 2 languages that are different, but they almost sound the same. So I would go to KZN and I would speak to somebody in Sotho or I would speak to somebody in Setswana, and they'd be like, "No, you cannot speak like this here. We speak Sizulu. That's how we speak."
Mm. Okay.
So then I would go to Limpopo and they'd be like, "No, we don't speak Setswana here. We speak Spedi." And then when I got to where I live here, I speak Sesotho most of the time because I was raised by Sotho people.
Mhm.
And Tswana people are also very adamant about their culture. So I would speak Sotho and people would be like, where do you come from? Why are you speaking like that? We speak Tswana here. So I've lived here for a long time and I learned how to properly speak Tswana. I couldn't speak Tswana properly before, but now I speak it like perfectly. So the only thing that I would say is that South Africa, as although we're like one country, everybody's kind
Mhm.
of divided like their own tribes. And once you move into that tribe's territory, for lack of a better word, they expect you to kind of adapt to their cultures. And it doesn't matter where, it's like that. Unless you move into the city where there's a lot of diverse different types, like Johannesburg. Johannesburg has a lot of diverse cultures and people. So it's not as drastic as it is in the other provinces.
Well, I actually kind of I think that's can be said a lot of places, even in different places in America. There's a lot of people that are very, very stuck on tradition. There's a particular group of people that is extremely stuck on tradition in the past, but I'm not going to go there in that particular sense. But that's actually really great. So, in learning to like speak to all those different people, how many languages do you speak now?
Let me how many languages do I
Wow,
speak?
you have to count. That's going to be a lot. Okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
do. I do. We have 11 official languages. So English is
Official,
one
like
of
11 official languages.
yeah, we have 11 official languages.
Okay.
So English is one of them. So English, besides English, Afrikaans, because I did Afrikaans in high school and basically academically. So I just have to know it. It's similar to Dutch. So we have Afrikaans, and
Hmm.
then we have isiZulu, which is one of the languages that I can speak. Sesotho, which is the language that is my native tongue.
Hmm.
Setswana, which is the language that is close to Sesotho, but not really, kind of. There's a
Hmm.
lot of differences. Um, Sepedi, and then Xhosa as well. Xhosa is the one with all the clicks. It has a whole lot of clicks.
Okay.
And yeah, I think actually like seven. Then there's Chivenda, there's Tonga,
Oh my
there's
God,
Shanga.
7 languages. Wow.
Yeah, I can speak seven of them. The other ones are a bit too like technical for me, but yeah, I can speak seven out of the 11, which is like it's not bad.
No, I think I can literally only speak one language. Like I know English. Like that's it. So like you got me beat sevenfold. Like I think that's really crazy. That's really dope. Okay, so being like having those different experiences has really allowed you to be very multicultural, you're very diverse and everything like that, which I think really can lend a hand or bleed into why you might be so good at, social media and graphic design, because you have that perspective of multiple people and what different people like. And so really being able to bring all of those things together, there's a little bit of something for everybody there, I think.
Yeah, no, I
Now,
completely.
I want to dive a little bit into like some technical stuff, right? So you do social media with us. I want you to share like your version, I guess, of the story of how like I've reached out. So like I have my version, which is kind of like, so I was really looking for some people and I did some like outreach. I posted some stuff on Twitter, on some Reddit, and I had like a lot of feedback. And one of the things that I really recognized that stuck out is your ability to not only write, but when we first met, like amazing English. And I really was like, wow, this person is like has like multicultural diversity, but also has a very, 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 very thorough understanding of like the social media relevancy of what's going on over here as well, because that's a very large thing for a lot of other business owners, is not only necessarily that language barrier, but that culture barrier. And I really feel that I didn't know you had all of these different experiences before, but I could feel in a way that you had like a very keen sense of touch on like a different set of like what's going on in the world, like the relevancy of different things, and really keeping your pulse on social media. So like what was your end of things when you kind of started coming on board, and what was your experience with finding and joining Allsource?
Okay, so I graduated, and
Mhm.
then as soon as I was done, obviously the next step is what is going to happen with my life. What am I going to do? I'm freaking out. So I kind of wrote down all the skills that I have, and then I decided, okay, what career path would you like to follow? Since you're done now and you need to figure out your life.
Right.
And I decided that I actually become a virtual assistant. It seemed like something that was very interesting to me because of the various positions that you can actually work within that one position. I like doing different things. So I found that very interesting that I don't have to stick to just one thing. So being a virtual assistant allows you to do multiple things and allows you to generalize and gain skills in different things. So basically what I did is I went on Twitter and I searched virtual assistant, and then and then also popped up. And then I was like, wow, this is okay. This has to be a sign. I'm a huge believer in signs. I don't think things just happen randomly. I think that things they happen because they're meant to happen. And that's just how they're supposed to happen. So I searched virtual assistant. I came across OffSource and I realized that you guys were actually looking for people to hire. I applied and then I hope for the best. So it was really amazing when you got back to me, and I was super excited. I was telling my aunts about it. In South Africa, remote work isn't really encouraged because people are still stuck on having a physical job, working in retail, and having that type of environment around you. So my aunt was on my case and she was like, no, you need to find a real job. I'm like, this is a real job. What do you mean? Just like be patient with me. But one thing, I don't want a physical job. This is what I want to do.
Right.
Please just give me time. It's gonna work out. Just let me show you that this is real. And so when you got back to me, the first person I showed the email to was my aunt. Like, you see, it's real. Just very real. Here is they're getting back to me. This is what's happening. And having to talk to you and meet you and going through the interview process and you explaining what the company was about was also very exciting for me. So yeah, that's, I guess, how I found myself in this position. But the whole journey was just very exciting because it was my first job and it was my first remote job as well. So it was very grateful to actually run into such an opportunity and be able to actually be a part of such an amazing company.
That's the first time I've heard your side of that story, and that's absolutely amazing. Tell your aunt 2 thumbs up. I'm glad you were able to kind of like show her like, hey, look, this is it. So I'm touched in that sense. Like I didn't know. I'm glad I was able to learn that. So you've been doing a lot with us over the past couple of months and everything like that. Like we just got the team together and everything. You're integrated fully with the team. I think you've been really clicking well with the other members and stuff like that. You're very good at carrying the load as per se. Now, I kind of want to touch on a couple of different things over the past couple of months, especially because you have the unique perspective of running your own business before, right? So you understand like a lot of some of the smaller nuances that like other people may not necessarily understand, and that because you've already done this kind of marketing before that I may not even necessarily understand. So I really want to get into some of the things that you've seen over the past couple of months since you've been a virtual assistant in terms of social media, the trends. What are you seeing be something very popular lately, or something that you think other social media managers or strategy people should really start kind of catching on to?
I think the most popular thing, actually, this is more than just thinking, I know. The most popular thing that is happening right now is that a lot of social media platforms are pushing the creation of video content. That's why we have YouTube Shorts now. That's why Instagram is looking into changing its whole entire platform to just taking out video content. And Facebook is also pushing video content to the top. If you look through Facebook, you don't see stories and feeds as much. You run into reels and you run into stories a lot because it really wants to get video content out there. So what I would say is that a lot of social media managers that are just starting out or haven't implemented this yet, I would say that they should create a whole lot of video content. Whatever it is that they want to create and put out there should be in a video format. It's easier for people to understand. It's attractive. People love watching things. They don't really like reading anymore because unfortunately or fortunately, social media has kind of the output of social media has caused people to want instant gratification. So I'm not
Right.
going to read a whole paragraph about whatever you want to tell me about. I need I I need a 5 to 10 to 15-second, 20-second video quickly giving me a brief,
Mhm.
and it should be eye-catching enough for me to actually now want to look into this thing. So I think that is something I would say most social media managers should be doing, using a whole lot of video content, being creative, creating things that are eye-catching. Because obviously, if it's bland, I'm just gonna scroll past it. But
Mhm.
if it's interesting, if it's eye-catching, if it's trendy, people love to laugh. That's one of the reasons why I enjoy Twitter. I didn't use Twitter for anything. Like, I'm very strict about my Twitter. I don't use it for any business or professional purposes. It's the
Mhm.
platform I go to for entertainment and laughter. And so it's also a great place for me to find new trends and new things that people like to jump on.
Mhm.
Like, for instance, this Little Miss what thing, Little
Yeah,
Miss
yeah,
Little
or the
Miss
miss,
that.
yeah.
And those are like really old cartoons, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah,
for
yeah, they're like, I think from like a Sunday's comic strip or something like that.
yeah, they're really old. They're super old. So they're bringing it back and they're using these little quirky and catchy lines. And I think it's very fun and hilarious. And I love adding stuff like that to my social media strategies because I love laughing. I love
Mhm.
going social media and relaxing. So that's also one of the things I think about when I create content for my users so that I know that, okay, it's not just professional, but it's also like, oh, this is actually funny. This is actually entertaining. What is this
Mm.
company? Yeah. So that's what I would say. I think adding your own personal touch, but also pushing out a whole lot of video content would be very helpful for the message that you're trying to get out there.
I absolutely agree, which is why we're trying to bulk up a lot of video content per request and everything of that nature. Um, in that, so I actually saw, I don't know who posted. I'm assuming it's you because it was a meme that did the Usher like watch this, and like
Yeah.
I was scrolling through my phone and I saw it, and I'm like, that's my team. Like they did that. They did
Yeah.
that. I was like super. Listen, you guys are on a roll. You guys did one where you got made fun of me about the Monday one, and I'm like that one was super really funny. So like I think that you guys have been doing like an absolutely amazing job and everything of that nature. I want to go like you had mentioned that video, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and things of that nature. We're doing a lot of different platforms over a lot of different kinds of social media, like from written to blogs, video, clips, podcasts, all like webinars that we're standing up and stuff like that. And we're using a lot of different software, right? So we have a bunch, we're using like Canva, Notion, Descript now, all these different types of things. And so you probably have like your own, core set of software or business tools that you're using to create your content. For the beginners out there, or for people that might be looking for an alternative to whatever they're using, what are your core tools that you use when you like to create your content?
I'm gonna take it back to when I was a beginner because now I have way more experience. But I would say that Canva is your best friend.
Mhm.
Even if it's not the paid version, Canva is your best friend. There's so many different things that you can do on there when you create content. I love Canva. Also Visco, when you take still pictures with your iPhone that are maybe you are a photographer or using that Visco and Lightroom to edit your pictures, it's good for Instagram. If
Mm.
you are somebody who is into copywriting, blogs, and writing long captions on Instagram, Grammarly is good to make sure that your things are aligned, the punctuation is great. And then the last one I would say is Planoly. I personally love seeing what the grade is gonna look like before I put the content out there.
Mhm.
So I like that Planoly gives me the option to preview my content before I put it out there so that I can place it to see what I should post on which day. So to like take out all the words that I've been saying, if I had to list them, it's Canva, it's Planoly, it's Lightroom, it's Visco, it's Grammarly. Those are my top 5 apps as a social media manager if you're just getting started.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna double down on it. Give me 3 now that you're much more experienced in intermediate. Like, what are some of your now if they were intermediate looking to switch?
If they're intermediate looking to switch, I'm still sticking with Canva. Canva is never going anywhere.
Right, yo, for
The
$12.99, Canva
The
is
paid
hands down,
the paid
hands
it's honestly the
down.
best. It's honestly the best. It's honestly the best. I'm sticking with Canva. And
Mhm,
then I would say Social Pilot, obviously. And then for scheduling, okay, that's Social Pilot, Canva. And then I also like the different features that Notion comes with.
mhm.
So if you have more experience and now you are a freelance social media manager and you work with lots of different clients, Notion will help you really sort out your things, organize your clients, organize things in order. So I would say Notion, Canva, and Grammarly. Yeah, those are great. And Social Pilot to schedule your stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. I've been really, really enjoying having this kind of conversation with you. I'm learning some things. I'm learning more about you. Let's dive into something a little bit more relaxed now. Let's switch planes again. Um, a lot of things have been happening over the course of the pandemic, right? We've all been affected by it. We're now in 2022. We're in the second half of 2022. Forget the first half. We are now in the second half of 2022. What kind of personal goals do you have going towards the end of this, the end of the second half of this year? And what are some of the goals that you might have already kind of accomplished throughout the past 2 years?
The past 2 years. Okay. I started my degree in
Mhm.
2019.
Okay.
I com I started it in 2019. I completed it last year, which is in 2021. Honestly, from physical switching from physical to remote learning was a bit tricky because now you don't have access to your lectures all the time
Mm.
and you kind of do most of the work on your own. So I had, a bit of challenges when it came to that, but I managed to pull through and I got an award. I wanted to be a Golden Key member, which is one of the biggest societies for academics. It's
Mhm.
like it's an international society where people with really, really good marks, only really, really good marks get in.
Mhm.
So in high school, I wasn't really an academic overachiever. So in varsity, I was like, okay, I need to at least once get into something like that, maybe get a certificate or an award or something. So for me to get that at the end of my degree was such an amazing accomplishment for me because it was like, wow, I actually did that.
Wow.
I
That's
did that. It was amazing. It was amazing. And then yeah, that part of my life ended. I still do learn and take courses, but I don't think I want to go to university anymore. I think that part of my life is done. So going to now this new chapter of my life, at the beginning of this year, I wrote down 6 goals that I would like
Mhm.
to achieve by the end of this year. So far, I've achieved 3. So
Okay.
that's amazing.
That's pretty
That's,
good. We're
that's,
halfway
that's
through. That's
great.
You're on track.
Yeah. I achieved 3. And then the other 3 include moving out, getting a car, and then my grandparents passed away last year, both of them. So I really want to get them like tombstones because in South Africa, well, depending on your financial status, you don't put the tombstones exactly on that day or a week after. You wait like a year
Okay.
to put like yeah. So that's one of
What?
the things I
Why?
want to.
Why? Why wait? Is it like what's the tradition behind it? Like, what's the waiting do or signify?
The waiting is due to apparently it's so that the tombstone doesn't fall into the grave. Apparently, it's still. I don't. I never really asked. I was just like, okay, you wait a
Right. There are
year.
a lot of things that we do. Like, oh, I don't ask.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
So yeah, for it's almost a year for them. A
Mhm.
year. My grandmother passed away in September. My grandfather passed away in October. So I want to do it in November. You have to do like a whole ceremony and like get a cow and get like a tent and the elders have
Mm.
to come. It's a whole thing. So it's quite a costly celebration, but I
Mhm.
wanna do it for them in order to like honor them because they've done so much for me in my life. So those are my 3 goals. I want to get a car, a small car, nothing crazy. I wanted to get an Audi, but then my mom was like, "Hey,
Listen,
relax."
Audi, I think is going to be expensive wherever you go.
Yeah, it's a bit and Audi's a bit mad. She was like, "Nah, relax." So just like a small car to like move around and then get to do the ceremony for my grandparents, and then once I've done that, get into my own little apartment. And yeah, those are my 3 biggest goals for the rest of this year.
let's see what we can help accomplish with that. I think that this has been absolutely amazing, and I've enjoyed like every second of this kind of conversation. We're gonna have to like have you as like a reoccurring guest up here and everything, talk about like some social media, some marketing strategies, all that kind of stuff, like reoccurring wise. But before we go and have to get you out of here, where can we find you on social media? Tell everyone like where to follow you, what's going on.
On Instagram, I am Tim Tim. So that is TSHIM_TSHIM. And then on Twitter, I am Tim Tim 13. Wait, that's where I share like everything I'm thinking every 5 seconds. It's like my own internet diary. And then on Facebook, I am Timologolo Buru. It's TSHIMOLOGO 10 letters LEBURU. So that's my government name. Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful to have you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Send the links. We'll make sure we put the links in the description. If you guys are looking to go follow T, the links will be in the description. Ramblers, we are out. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Hey Ramblers, that's it. Podcast is over. Don't leave yet though. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, and follow us on YouTube at OffSource HQ. We'll see you next time.